Really?
And that ain't good.
Yeah.
Miserable track record.
I don't think Kamala will ever hold public office again.
Better not.
I don't think you can come back from. It wasn't that she was outfoxed.
Lost,
it wasn't that she lost. I think you can certainly lose an election and run a good election and still.
Mel Gibson and Tyrus just did the unthinkable. They called out Kamala Harris so hard the internet might need therapy. Picture Braveheart meeting late-night comedy, with Kamala caught squarely in the crossfire. Think you've seen political drama before? Think again. This is next-level chaos. Hollywood fury colliding with Fox News fire. Buckle up, because Mel and Tyrus didn't just speak out. They detonated the whole Kamala narrative.
Listen to what Mel Gibson just said about Kamala Harris.
She got the IQ of a fence post.
Let's fact check that. Can you point to something in your life that you think was a mistake that you've learned from?
I mean, I've made
What happened,
many.
Greg? The teleprompter went up and they cheered too long.
Yeah.
And she panicked because all she could remember, she couldn't remember the connection word. So she panicked. This ain't close, I'm telling you.
Before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe. You'll thank yourself later. Mel Gibson didn't tiptoe into politics. He crashed in like a man realizing Hollywood scripts aren't the craziest things anymore. Listening to Kamala sometimes feels like sitting through a motivational seminar where the speaker forgets the topic halfway through, but still charges extra for inspiration.
Track record, no policies to speak of.
And the border, right?
And she's got the IQ of a fence post.
So when Mel finally had enough of that cosmic confusion, it wasn't subtle. It was cinematic, like yelling "cut" in the middle of a live broadcast. And honestly, he's got a point. Here's a man who's spent decades shouting at imaginary armies on fog-covered battlefields. And even he's asking, what on earth is Kamala doing? That's when you know something's off.
VP Harris, she won't go to the border, probably because she'd rather take the magic school bus to the moon.
You guys are gonna see. You're gonna literally see the craters on the moon with your own eyes.
Oh my goodness.
With your own eyes, I'm telling you, it is gonna be unbelievable.
With your own eyes.
Mel's not sugarcoating a thing. He's done playing nice. The guy's survived scandals, studio politics, and Hollywood chaos. If Hollywood was the Wild West, Washington's the unnecessary sequel. And Mel's the cowboy calling it what it is, a circus without a ringmaster.
And they range from, if you've ever parented a child, you make lots of mistakes.
He starts like he's pitching a film. America, the biggest blockbuster ever. And who's directing? Kamala Harris, somehow turning the script into a riddle wrapped in confusion, tied with a bow of second-hand enthusiasm. Every speech feels like an uplifting soundtrack with no plot behind it. Mel isn't angry. He's baffled. Her leadership, he says, is like that friend who loses the story halfway through, but keeps performing anyway. You nod politely, waiting for clarity, but instead get the same 3 sentences remixed with new facial expressions. Politics used to follow a script. Now it's full improv night at the Capitol. Kamala's speeches sound like stitched-together TikToks edited by a sleepy intern. Part poetry, part puzzle, all panic.
I have a Glock.
I've become friends with school shooters.
When they asked her about the gun,
Yes.
and I got a Glock. What kind?
Yes.
And her answer was,
Yeah.
And Those were invented by nervous white people around black people.
Then there's Tyrus, a refrigerator with opinions and zero filters. When he calls someone out, it's a verbal body slam. He calls Kamala's optimism what it really is, the world's most expensive stand-up routine without punchlines. Watching her speak, he says, feels like witnessing a slow-motion car crash. Everyone pretending to know what's happening, secretly hoping someone yells scene. Mel nods from the corner, comparing DC to a bad movie studio, executives spending millions to convince audiences that a flop is genius. That's Washington now, marketing over meaning. And America's not buying tickets anymore.
Set social media on fire with his blistering assessment of Kamala Harris. He said She has an appalling track record, no policies to speak of, and she's got the IQ of a fence post. Is Mel Gibson too big to be cancelled? Does he even care? He produces his own stuff these days, doesn't he?
He also financially and emotionally supported Robert Downey Jr. when he was dealing with his addiction problems. And
He's right. Every Kamala speech feels like watching a stunt with no safety net. Thrilling, confusing, and slightly terrifying. Mel calls it a tragic comedy. Everyone's pretending the emperor's wearing Armani when he's clearly in pajamas. Tyrus coins it the Kamala paradox. She's everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Her speeches sound like motivational fridge magnets arranged by a toddler with glitter glue. Mel digs deeper. Maybe the issue isn't Kamala herself, but the script she's reading or improvising from. Somewhere in the White House, there's a teleprompter wondering what it did wrong. Bureaucratic improv theater at its finest.
There's worse things that you can say to people.
Yeah.
But I help people who harm people. God bless, good night, that's my time. That's what...
Tyrus doesn't let up. He compares her political career to that coworker who keeps getting promoted for energy and potential, even though no one knows what they actually do. If confidence were results, he says, Kamala would be president of the galaxy by now. Their humor hits hard, but fair. Sharp observational comedy. Kamala nails the performance, the tone, the sparkle, but forgets the plot. It's like a musical where everyone's singing, but nobody knows the lyrics. Tyrus snarks. She's made millions of Americans nostalgic for silence.
First of all, she never saw the video.
Yeah.
Okay? That's not someone who describes a video.
Yeah.
That's someone that they handed this to her, and she was like, elephants? Oh, I'll take it from here. And then she went out there. And she was not drunk. She was hungover, because she's way worse when she's hungover. That was hungover because she kept saying the same thing over and over again. They surrounded, and then they formed a circle. And then they got together.
Mel nearly spits out his drink, laughing. But beneath the jokes lies the sting. Both men are pointing out that American leadership has become more about image than impact, promising change while glitching between chaos and confusion. It's political hypnosis dressed as inspiration. Mel, the man who gave us Braveheart, can't believe the same nation that once valued courage and conviction now applauds scripted confusion. At least my movies had editors, he mutters. Tyrus grins. Hollywood went soft. Washington turned into its own parody. And right in the middle stands Kamala, both hero and comic relief.
No, we applaud people speaking their mind. There's certainly plenty of celebrities who are saying outrageous things about Donald Trump. So if Mel Gibson wants to share his thoughts, I think everyone can accept that, but probably not Hollywood. It's probably...
Kamala might not be laughing, but the audience can't stop. Because sometimes the only way to survive modern politics is to treat it like a comedy. Mel and Tyrus aren't done. They're just warming up. America's longest-running reality show rolls on, and Kamala's the headliner. She steps to the mic, smiling like she's about to announce a miracle, then delivers what sounds like a riddle written by a poet who lost their thesaurus. Mel chuckles. It's the kind of speech where every word feels important until the meaning evaporates faster than campaign promises.
Acting like we haven't known her for the last 4 years or 3. It feels like 50. It really does. It really does. And you could make, now they're making the argument the reason why she was the way she was because she had to lay in the cut so Biden could do his thing, and she had to watch. And then one day she decided to go down to him and say, hey, it's my time. And he's like, you're right. And he stepped aside. And she's this great, noble person. And you know what? Let's say this is all true. I'm willing to have a restart with Kamala. A complete restart. Maybe I've been wrong.
Tyrus jumps in with that trademark smirk. He calls her style verbal jazz. Smooth rhythm, zero melody. Words that sound nice, but never land on the beat. Mel compares it to Hollywood's obsession with remakes. The same idea, recycled and repackaged. Kamala's speeches feel like that. You don't remember the message, just the moment. All smiles, no substance.
And every day, in the courtroom, I stood proudly before a judge and I said 5 words. Kamala Harris, for the people. I accept your nomination to be President of the United States of America.
At least some people have their head on straight, like Mel Gibson here. So he comes out and says this about Kamala Harris.
Mel doubles down. Kamala's entire political strategy feels like it was born in a marketing boardroom, all aesthetic, no authenticity. It's like someone watched The West Wing once and said, "That's leadership," he jokes. He calls it Instagram governance, filtered, polished, perfectly captioned, and utterly detached from reality. Together, he and Tyrus riff on the idea of Kamala hosting her own late-night show, The Vice Hour. Tune in, even we don't know where it's going. Then, as always, Mel gets serious again.
And we'll watch the next speech, and I'll go, Greg, I'm sorry I wasted your time on the show talking about it. So no matter how you dress that box up in ribbons and sprinkles, when you open it up, it's still full of incompetence.
What frustrates him most isn't Kamala herself. It's what she represents, a system that rewards charisma over clarity, competence replaced by catchphrases. She's the heavyweight champ of polished confusion, he laughs. Then they imagine Kamala's inner monologue mid-speech. Deep breath, use hand gestures. Say something that sounds wise but can't be fact-checked. Smile. Pause, repeat. Mel lands the knockout line America's leaders used to inspire action. Now the strategy is simple, keep everyone guessing so no one calls your bluff. They exchange glances, half amused, half alarmed, realizing they're not just roasting Kamala. They're roasting the system that made her inevitable.
TMZ caught up with actor and filmmaker Mel Gibson, who reaffirmed his support for former President Donald Trump, and he had some sick burns for Vice President Kamala Harris. The reporter asked Gibson who he was going to vote for. After Gibson said that Kamala had the IQ of a fence post, demands were made for an immediate retraction and apology by the...
Mel closes with a sigh. Somewhere along the line, politics stopped being about leadership and became all about likability. And Kamala? She's mastered that game. Not a policymaker, a performer. The camera loves her. The crowd claps. The words float away, but the vibe sticks. Tyrus shrugs. Maybe that's the lesson. She's not trying to make sense. She's trying to make headlines. The confusion is the message. Mel laughs one last time. In a world where every speech feels like an audition, maybe she's the only one who actually gets it. Because at this point, maybe Mel Gibson and Tyrus aren't roasting Kamala Harris at all. Maybe they're holding up a mirror. And for once, America can't look away.